Hey, what's up guys? John here. A whopping 39.8% of all homes up and down every street, road, and cul-de-sac in America are owned without a mortgage, free and clear, all cash. On top of that, 26% of all homes sold now are bought by investors. This is according to Redfin. But when you look at what Wall Street is pushing on hundreds of millions of Americans, you'll realize very soon that everything about housing is about to change.
Analysts write that by 2030, institutions may own 7.6 million single-family rental homes. That could be more than 40% of the market.
This came out, Fortune magazine. A 40-year mortgage should be the new American standard for first-time homebuyers. Two-time presidential advisor says. He's the CEO of Operation Hope. Now, Operation Hope, you look at their supporters. You have Bank of America, McDonald's, US Bank, Truist, Wells Fargo, PNC, the big banks, of course, JP Morgan Chase. You have Visa, Robinhood. You even have some of America's biggest home builders and investors. Look at Invitation Homes. You have Loan Depot, First Key Homes, RBC Bank, and very, very, very wealthy individuals. Now, they're all saying, they're all voting with their dollars here, that everything should be changing. We should be walking into a 40-year mortgage.
From 15-year to 30, now 40. Federal Housing Administration announcing they're increasing the term options to include a 40-year mortgage.
Now, what I believe is going to unfold over the next 36 months is going to change homeownership forever in this country. In this video, I'm going to show you how we get there, step by step, and what you could do to avoid this problem, crisis, some would call, that's almost guaranteed at this point. Please hit the like button. People share the content, educate more people about what's happening. I made very, very bold predictions in the past, most of which have already come true. Look at this. In July, a report on the fall of Denver and the fall of Ohio, 2 months before the media. In 2023, I predicted federal rent control would come and food price controls would come to combat inflation. The White House is now working to make both of these law.
Passed the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
My incredible team provides tomorrow's news today. Only 30% of all viewers are subscribed. If you subscribe, the algorithm will reward the channel and we can expand and grow and hire more researchers. Thank you for simply clicking the red button to subscribe to the channel. Now on to the video. This is blowing up on Twitter as well. 400,000 views. Came up, an hour ago. 460,000 views now. Look at how much change is unfolding in the housing market. You have home sales, the lowest level in 23 years, right, since 2001. Mortgage rates, if you have an average credit score in America, which is a 698, you're looking at about 7%, right? If you have good credit, you're probably looking in the mid sixes, 6.8, 6.4, right? So on a $500,000 purchase with 6% down, which is the average down payment for a first-time home buyer, you're looking at $3,600 a month. If you live in a risk area, like high risk area, along the coast in Florida, certain places in California, you're going to pay a hell of a lot more than that because homeowners insurance has gotten very, very, very expensive in these areas. But when you look at the 40-year mortgage, what they're proposing on the same exact specs here, $500,000 purchase price, $30,000 down, taking out a loan amount of $470,000, same interest rate and everything. The monthly payment would be $3,813. Now, over a 40-year mortgage, 480 months, 40 times 12, you'd be paying $1.8 million all in for that home. Now, the difference on a 30-year mortgage, which is 360 months, is essentially the price of the home. It goes from $1.8 million to $1.3 million. You pay an extra $500,000, which, for the example here, is the cost of that home. So it's going to push people into a place where they say, you know what? I'm going to get this 30-year mortgage. I'm going to make the payments. And as insurance continues to rise and get more and more and more expensive, what's going to happen is, and tech and AI and all these changes unfold in the job market in the coming 5, 10, 15 years, all these people are going to be letting go of these homes. That's what's going to likely happen. And it's going to be a major change. They're going to position this as a way in which they're going to combat inequality, bringing forward, this great solution to extend a mortgage from 30 years to 40 years. But the reality is, when you start to really look at the numbers, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. All these areas, all in red, are where insurance is climbing. This is basically where a large chunk of America lives, right? And so this is unfolding. Now, they say your tax dollars are helping Wall Street. Big money institutions could control a stunning 40% of U.S. rental homes in the next 5 years. 40%. I'm going to show you also what you can do to make sure you're not inside of that 40% and renting from these large corporations. So it says, while most Americans are anxiously watching the housing market show signs of cooling after running red hot for years, one group may be cheering for a crash after the 2008 financial crisis. Corporations and institutional investors looking to ramp up their purchases of residential real estate, including single-family homes. After a 2008 financial crisis, home prices plummeted while the central banks reduced interest rates to support the economy. Wall Street suddenly had access to cheap capital and distressed assets for much of the past decade, and I would argue the same thing happened over the last 4 years. In 2020, all this money flooded the system, and where did it go? Went to large institutions, and it went to large corporations, tech companies, major corporate firms and hedge funds and sovereign wealth funds. It just flowed to the top, right? And so they're sitting on all this money. This money is slowly deteriorating in value. What are they going to do? They're going to park it in hard real assets. It says interest rates have been lower than the rental yield on most properties. That meant that corporate landlord business model was lucrative. Companies backed by private equity firms like Blackstone and Pretium Partners purchased hundreds of thousands of homes. Institutional players like Tricon, Progress Residential, American Homes for Rent, Invitation Homes have extensive portfolios of rental homes across the country, currently owning 700,000, or about 5%. So they're saying they own 5%, and they're going to 40%. They're going to increase their holdings 8x over a 5-year span. Like, that's unbelievable. Now, I did a video 4 years ago saying that America should become a nation of renters, and this was 3.5 years, almost 4 years ago. This was a bold prediction back then. But when you start to read this article and you start to look at all of the benefits that they say for society, for everyone to rent their homes, you see that's very likely where we're going. And that is exactly what's going to be happening here. A large chunk of Americans will be forced to do this that are not getting prepared today. It says today the average American may be renting until the age of 35, according to realtors, right? When did this come out? Today, right? Came out today, 137,000 views. Here, the median apartment rent, think about it like this. The average apartment rent in America is down 12.6% from a year ago. We have a 50-year high in apartment construction. They're predicting that we're going to see rents drop again 3%. Now, many people say this is a really good thing, John. It's a great thing. Well, if insurance and property taxes are going up and the difficulty of owning a home is getting more and more unbearable for millions, they're going to be forced to rent. And if rents are going down, this is going to be provided as the solution to this affordability crisis, right? But when you have a lot of investors that have acquired properties over the last several years that thought rents were going to go up 10, 15, 20%, and these investors need to refinance their debt over the next 2, 3, 4 years, and they're unable to do so because the cost of operating this building is way higher than they anticipated and the revenues are shrinking, they're going to be losing their assets. They're going to be selling these properties either directly to another institution, or the bank that underwrote that loan is going to be forced to sell it off at a loss to a private equity firm or an institution, right? So this is going to be a scenario, and as they gain market share, what are they going to do? They're going to jack up rents. That's what's going to happen. So in the short term, it's going to seem really good. Rents are going down. Everyone's going to cheer. But in the long term, I believe rents are going to be going up in a very, very, very big way. Because look at Facebook's business model, for example. The cost for them to put you in front of millions of clients or customers, if you're a business owner, is pennies. How much do they charge you? They charge you a fortune. How much did they charge 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago? Well, almost nothing. They charge almost nothing. They wanted to get everybody in the door. But now everyone's in the door, all the attention's online, they jack the price up. Why? Because they can. The same thing will happen here. That's why, renting in the short term might be a really, really good solution, but renting over the next 5, 10 years, I think could be, not the best outcome for many people, I think, in hindsight. It says that 9 million homes will come on the market in the next decade as baby boomers age, but the silver tsunami will be more of a tide. Now, right now, only 3.2% of all retirees have a retirement account with $1 million in it. 3.2%. So a lot of these people are on Social Security. There's estimates somewhere around 40% of people in retirement are on fixed incomes. So when you have a large chunk of retirees on fixed incomes and their insurance or taxes are going up, healthcare costs going up, utilities, everything is going up, they're going to be forced to sell. They're not going to have an option. When you have family offices about to surpass hedge funds with $5.4 trillion in assets by 2030, they even predict here that in total, wealth of families with family offices is expected to hit $9.5 trillion, right? As that's happening, you have money markets, you have $6 trillion pile of cash in money market funds. So you're gonna have 15 trillion sitting between those, and 1 out of every 15 Americans are a millionaire, according to UBS. So what are all of these deep-pocketed investors going to do? What are they gonna do? They're gonna buy houses. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna invest. The crazier the world gets, the weaker the dollar gets, the more it's going to be allocated into hard, real assets. It's going to be put into infrastructure, office buildings on discounted prices, industrial properties, farmland. This is what's going to happen. And it's going to happen very, very, very quickly. But the solution to this, for many that are really, really savvy, is understanding this 5% down payment opportunity for multifamily homes. So if you're looking to get a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, and you want to live in one of these units, maybe you live in this unit and you could rent out the other unit, it could be a very, very, very good option for you. Let's look at an expensive city like Los Angeles. Now, I'm not saying I would recommend to invest in rental property in LA. Landlord-tenant laws are not very favorable for landlords, but just to show a high price point market, $700,000. If you were to buy this property, and let's just say you put 5% down, let's just call it 30 grand. You put 30 grand as a down payment, including closing costs, all in, right? And you lived in, let's just say, one of these units. It's a nice unit. It's a very, very nice unit. And if you rent out the other side for, say, $2,500, which in Los Angeles is probably doable, what you're going to see is a monthly cost for you to live in that property for probably $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, probably a fraction of what it would cost to actually rent in that very market. And you're going to get the tax benefits. You're going to end up owning the property in the long term. But the curveballs that are going to be coming, the insurance are going to continue to go up. The taxes will likely continue to go up, more than likely. In addition to this, green energy upgrades are going to become required over the coming 5 to 10 years. Look it up inside of your specific market. But the more that you look into this, the more you realize big costs are going to be coming. But you just have to be prepared for that. You have to be understanding of where the world's going to be going. This isn't like a theory or a guess. There's laws. Go to LA, DBS, Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety. I'm sure you can find it on the website. You can go down to their courthouse. You can look into what's actually happening inside of these, inspection offices. Even New York City, they have Local Law 97. Ithaca, New York, they have a plan to decarbonize the entire city, and they've been working on this for a while. All this is going to be happening. So you look at the concentration of wealth that's scheduled for American, real estate, you'll realize that it's all happening at one time. And he or she who has the cash, who has the game plan, who understands where this is all going, will have a major, major leg up compared to those that don't. I think we're walking into something really, really, really big here. In the short term, it's going to be sold as a great solution just to rent everything. But I don't think it's going to be a solution that is going to be a great, call it value add, looking back 10, 15, 20 years, because the cost of everything likely will continue to get more and more and more expensive as family offices and corporations and Wall Street firms acquire a lot of land, a lot of hard real assets. You're going to want to own as much as you possibly can, but you're going to want to own it and be able to pivot and move in the hard times. If you can buy a really great asset and you can weather a storm holding it, you're going to thank yourself forever for it. What do you think about this entire situation? Let's have a conversation about this below. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for funding, if you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, or closures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative or derogatory items in your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call for tomorrow. Catch you next video.